We're talking about the evolving threats and the evolving solutions. Hi, I'm Tom Field, Editorial Director with Information Security Media Group. It's my privilege to be talking today with Sam Curry. He's the Chief Technologist with RSA, the Security Division of EMC.
Hi, Tom.
Sam, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about fraud and about threats. Fraud is something that's ever growing, it's ever evolving. What are the manifestations of it that concern you the most today?
Well, I think the fraud world is one of profit. It's a return on hacking, if you will, as opposed to return on investment, and it follows the same principles as a business market would. When dealing with fraud, you really want to stomp on it immediately. The reason is that you can almost think of it as every keystroke has to lead to a profit. Every motion that the bad guy makes is with a profit in mind. And there's no pride of ownership over one technique over another. They will move among techniques very effectively. They have to sink some costs or investment into things like building out an attack or what have you. But in that world, you don't have to be faster than the bear, just faster than the guy next to you. So you can actually build predictive models to understand how it flows. And frankly, it's probably a sort of evil of modern civilization that has spread now to the internet. Banks deal with this a lot, and now other channels are starting to as well.
Let's talk about a couple other kinds of threats. I'd like to talk to you first about just the evolution of cybercrime.
So cybercrime has really built up a concerted mass, a critical mass, if you will. It is one of those things that, frankly, if you're a criminal and you're not hacking, you're a pretty stupid criminal. If you have to choose whether to hack, it doesn't take that much to get started. And one of my colleagues has actually done a paper called Fraud as a Service. Some of the best examples of cloud computing are in fact on the hacking side. And that has evolved over the course of the last decade to fairly staggering proportions. And I think the main reason for it is it's just so attractive for us to go online and do things that we become natural targets for those seeking to steal wealth from us as individuals or as corporations. The flip side of that is the advanced persistent threat. I prefer Josh Corman's term, advanced persistent adversary. Those are people who aren't out for a hack per, a money per hack kind of approach. You got to be faster than the bear in that world. They're after something specific, and they will try every tool and technique to get at it at a loss. That world, the APT world, is far more significant, I think, for nation states, non-state actors, terrorists, those sorts of things, in the pursuit of their agenda and what they want to achieve.
Talk a little bit about the advanced persistent threat. What really is the manifestation of it?
So the error I think many people make among the most well-motivated and the sort of newest newcomer to security is that they go looking for it as if it is a type of threat or a type of attack. That's the wrong class of object. The object is about people. It is groups of people who are organized sometimes with a national agenda, sometimes with a religious one, sometimes with an ethical one. Anonymous is a good example, for instance, right? It is a self-organizing collective in a way. The advanced persistent threat is, the description makes it sound like it's another threat, like another worm of the week, and it really isn't. It's about communities, and it's about, shall we say, agenda-driven, mission-driven people who are out to really break business and society as we know it. It is illegal, it is serious, and it is a persistent thing.
Let's talk about solutions. And one of the things you've stressed in conversations we've had is the need for collaboration. Who are the collaborative partners?
So I think we can say that no company, no individual could stand up to a nation state coming after them in the real world. And the same thing is true. No one by themselves can stand up to a advanced persistent threat online. It behooves us to find communities and to find ways to work together to make it more efficient in our security practices and to get more effective. That's only going to happen by collaborating, sharing what we know about what's happening in near real time, sharing wisdom. And, if you're attacked, you will never have the experience of knowing what it's like to see 30,000 attacks in a year, but your community knows. And being able to get and share information about attacks, that is absolutely the most important thing we can do to beef up our defenses right now.
What are the barriers to this collaboration?
There's some that have to do with jurisdictions, sharing information, there's privacy concerns, and frankly, it's one of those things that, I use an analogy here with a bee. Bees have evolved in nature in a very strange way. When they sting you, they die. And you have to ask yourself, why would anything evolve that way? There's some benefit it gets from belonging to a hive that's more important than its own life. But let's be honest, it takes a while to build a community for it to get to a critical mass where you get more out than you put in. One of the big reasons is it takes a lot to get one of these things up to the point where it can really help with your defenses. So we're going to have to invest with the faith, in many ways, that it's going to produce results when we need it down the line. And we're just not at that point yet. So it's up to conferences like this one, RSA conference, to get folks to work together to get to that critical mass. And once we hit that, that's a tipping point. Then you simply have to be part of the community. And frankly, the bad guys don't stand a chance against that type of coalition.
Sam, two of the hottest topics at RSA this year are mobile and cloud. And you yet say that they aren't two topics, really they're one.
Yeah, I actually like to think of those things as two sides of the same coin from an enterprise perspective. From an individual perspective, I think most people already understand that they get services and they have these cool devices, and the two somehow go together. But I don't think from an enterprise perspective we've yet seen them as two sides of the same coin. The devices are no longer in control of the enterprise. This BYOD thing is everywhere. In fact, somebody joked with me earlier today. They said, all you have to do is put BYOD on the end and you can talk about anything. You can say, hey, DLP for BYOD, right? Too many acronyms, I know. But on the flip side, the services that we are going to be offering to companies are also moving out of the infrastructure. The CIO and the IT department and the security department along with it have to think of themselves as the custodians of what the company needs and how to get their policy enforced when everything is out of their control. That's one problem. That's not two problems. And I think everything from social networks on the one hand and smartphones on the other, your droids, your tablets, your iPhones, and whatever comes next, and by the way, they're coming fast and furious, which is great from a technology perspective, all the way to infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, you name X as a cloud, doesn't matter. It's all manifestations of the same thing and redefining how the IT department and security see themselves in that ecosystem.
Sam, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.